It seems like with the news of the Trump tariffs that Canada and our real estate market is about to experience a death by 1,000 cuts. Or is it? It's like we're in a boxing match against the States and they just threw a hard punch. And yeah, it hurts, but we're still standing. But the worst part about it is we've actually been being punched all fight, not by America, our opponent, but actually by our own corner, by our own coach, by our own government, right? We're paying for their embezzlement of money and misappropriation of funds and overtaxation. We have a carbon tax that is going up April 1st that no other sane country is making their citizens to pay. And by the way, aren't we made of like 20% carbon? So I'm just getting taxed for existing. Hello. Capital gains tax is going up in our government. And inflation is at an all-time high, which is the biggest tax of all. So our own government has been punching us this whole time. So if America is punching our government, does the enemy of my enemy become my friend? Let's analyze exactly what's going on here and how it's going to affect you and the Canadian real estate market. The Art of War by Sun Tzu says, act weak when you are strong and act strong when you are weak. And I think this is exactly what America under Trump is doing right now. Let's face it, relative to the peak of the American empire, let's call it post-World War II, 1945, America is relatively the weakest it's ever been. One of their largest cities just burnt down. They can't get water in their fire hydrants. Planes are crashing. They're funding 2 world wars. They are trillions in debt. They can't account for trillions of dollars. Their society is super polarized, and they have illegals coming in and they're trying to get them out, which is going to be absolute chaos in the coming months and years. And worst of all, not to mention, the world reserve currency, the US dollar, is under threat. We might have a new world reserve currency. The only thing America has going for it is its army. They hold strategic locations on the globe like Diego Garcia, the Malacca Strait, the zone of containment against China, the Gulf in the Middle East. So if they were to lose these global strategic positions, they would fall like dominoes. The American reserve currency would be over and we would have a new world order and America would no longer be the big dog. It's like if you're playing a game of StarCraft or whatever and your opponent's not mining, but you really can't do anything because their army is just so strong, right? That's exactly where America is now. They are weak, but they are acting strong. Now, this doesn't mean that I think America is over. They're just going through a transitionary period, right? If you look at Chinese dynasties, it's been up and down, right? And I think America will kind of go like this as well. Trump is himself. He's been here before. He was once $900 million in debt, right? This is before he pursued politics. And he's a smart man. He leveraged his brand and turned it around and made billions, right? And at the time being, they still have the power because of the military to actually enforce these tariffs. If America were to go through the status quo and, it was 10 years down the line, I don't think their tariffs would have any power because, they wouldn't have any power. So fair game, they actually have the power right now to enforce the tariffs. Now, Trump is saying that fentanyl and illegals are coming in through the north side, through Canada, which is absolutely ridiculous. That stuff is coming up from Mexico. Very little of it is actually coming through Canada. So the whole reasoning is complete BS. If anything, there's way too many illegal American firearms coming up into Canada. And, all these illegals in America right now that are running away from ICE or, running away from deportation, won't some of them escape up and try to come into Canada? Like, if anything, we need to build a wall to make sure you guys stay out. Now, ultimately, these reasons for implementing a tariff and calling Canada the 51st state, this is just his way of creating leverage when it comes time to negotiate. He's a master negotiator. I mean, he did write The Art of the Deal, guys. So that's kind of what his plan is. Mexico has already caved, so has Canada. We've already decided to put billions into the border, same with Mexico. And for what? For a 1-month pause on the tariffs that never even happened a month earlier, right? He's already created leverage and he's already created results for America. while Canada and Mexico have to pay, and he's done nothing except threats of tariffs. Now, ultimately, I think his goal is probably to control the Arctic Circle. That's why they want Greenland as well, right? Once the ice caps melt in the Arctic, that's going to be the fastest route to trade between Europe, Asia, and the Americas. So to control that will be absolutely key. And I think the other reason why he's doing the tariffs is to incentivize domestic American manufacturing, which has escaped in the last 50 years, 100 years. And by doing that, America will have more self-sustaining jobs and economies, and they'll be stronger. In the short run, both Canada and America will be affected. Price of goods will go up as companies and individuals look for alternative markets because of these tariffs. But I think America will be able to sustain this for a longer period of time than Canada can, especially because Trump is also offering tax cuts. Heck, he's even talking about abolishing the federal income tax. He's removing regulations. So yeah, he's implementing these tariffs, but he's also allowing the American people to actually manufacture, to actually have jobs and create their own businesses. What's happening in Canada? Well, the opposite is happening. Over-regulation, over-taxation. We're getting cooked. We're going to get cooked by America in the long term if the government doesn't do anything. Now, ultimately, I think this is actually a good thing for Canada because it's going to put pressure on the Canadian government, hopefully, to remove some of the red tape so that we can compete. Let's say, hypothetically, we had a leader in Canada who actually removed the regulations, who cut taxes. Man, I think Canada can compete against America. There's other markets we can sell to. We have the most natural resources. We have a new 5 million immigrant population labor force that are hungry for work. So if we had no regulations and we had no taxes, crazy taxes, we'd actually be able to compete, bring on the tariffs. But the problem is we don't. We're getting overtaxed and overregulated. Now the question we've all been waiting for, if these tariffs were to actually be implemented, 25%, 10% on energy, whatever the numbers are, some sort of tariff is to be implemented. How will this affect the Canadian and specifically the Toronto real estate market? Now there's two main schools of thought. The first one is prices will go down, right? Because we're very interconnected with America. There's a lot of folks that have jobs that are dependent on the American market, a lot of companies that sell directly to America. And if there's a tariff, it's no longer going to be economically feasible to do business, right? And as a result, Canadians are going to be poor. There's going to be pressure on costs. Costs are going to go up. And people might not be thinking about buying a house or an investment property if they know in the back of their mind, wait a minute, my job is really dependent on America. If there's a tariff, I might lose my job, right? So psychologically, it might have an effect too. And we all know buyers set the price of real estate. So if buyers can't afford as much, and if buyers are psychologically impacted by geopolitical concerns, prices should come down. Now, the other school of thought is prices are actually going to go up. Reason being interest rates. Think about it this way. If there's actually tariffs, then the price of goods go up, right? Because it's more expensive to trade. Our cost of goods going up means inflation will go up. When inflation goes up, the Bank of Canada typically lowers interest rates to incentivize spending. Another reason Trump has been on record of saying he's going to push the Fed to bring interest rates down. If that's also the case, then the Bank of Canada has to follow. The Bank of Canada will naturally bring interest rates down to match the Fed. If you look at all the analysis from the major banks of Canada, BMO, Scotia, RBC, they've already predicted that interest rates will go down. Some banks are even saying to pre-pandemic levels at around 2%. Prior to the tariff threats, people were just expecting 2 rate cuts. People are saying way more now because of the tariffs. Now, if interest rates come down, what does that mean? Especially to 2%, that's going to incentivize a lot of people to buy. So when you buy a house, right, for most folks, 20% down as cash, 80% as loan, as debt. So yeah, cost of goods might go up. Maybe your made in USA shampoo will cost $10 instead of $5, but cash on hand is only 20% of most real estate transactions. What actually impacts real estate transactions is the 80% of debt. So if borrowing is significantly cheaper because the Bank of Canada cuts their rates, then the cost of goods will go up, or the cost of real estate will go up because buyers will flood the market, just like they did in 2011, 2022 when interest rates were at historic lows, Glenn. So yeah, I am in that second camp. I think prices are actually going to go up because there's going to be huge pressure for interest rates to come down. And let's not forget all of the other factors. We have a housing shortage problem, housing crisis, whatever you want to call it. It's not really a housing crisis. It's more like we brought in way too many people. The amount of houses 5 years ago were fine, but we brought in 5 million people. So yeah, there's going to be a housing shortage. But regardless, I think prices will go up because of the tariffs. Now, please take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Every city is different. Toronto is different than Calgary, than Ottawa, than Vancouver. Every asset type is different, right? A detached is different than a semi, and it's different than a condo apartment in Toronto. The inventory levels are different for depending on what asset type and what location you're looking for in Toronto. If you want a more detailed explanation of where I think prices are going to go for each location, neighborhood, and asset type, click the link in the description below. I have made another video regards to that. Now this video is made pre-tariff threat, but I think it's going to be the exact same trend, except there's gonna be more gasoline on it, right? It's actually gonna be amplified because of the Trump tariffs. Remember, it's just one punch. We've been getting punched for the last 5 years as Canadians. And like I said, every property is different. Every individual is different. If you need help navigating this ever-changing real estate market, feel free to book a no obligation call with our team below and see how our team can help you. Overall, and this is a strong if Canada has strong leadership, we should be fine. Now, it's a possibility that they deliberately created this mess and will install a controlled opposition to fix this mess, in which case we're really fucked. really, really fucked. But like Elon says, I'd rather be an optimist and wrong than a pessimist and be right. And typically, when America is strong, Canada is strong as well. So it will sting. The tariffs will sting, but it will help us achieve another level. I really think it's going to put pressure on politicians in Canada to offer tax cuts, deregulations. It's going to strengthen America, which makes Canada stronger. And look, it's already uniting Canadians. This is the first time we've been united in a long time. When you have an external threat, aliens or an external country invading you, that's when you actually create a cohesive, not polarized society. So guys, I think the tariffs are actually a good thing for Canada in the long run as a Canadian, right? And yeah, it's going to sting a little. The punches are going to sting, but the snake must shed its skin to get to the next level. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. It'll be exciting to see what happens in the coming weeks and months, as Mr. Trudeau tries to negotiate against the big dog, Mr. Trump. We'll see what happens. I'm sure I will keep you guys posted as to where I think the real estate market will go as a result of geopolitical factors. Anyways, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.